Resetting the anchor. Oh, yes, got it. Yes. So today I I thought about this workshop for quite a while. I came up with the idea of it about a year ago, when my Buddhist teacher that I had for 21 years passed away. And I had realized I knew him longer than my own father because my father died when I had just turned 20. So it really affected me in a very big way. And yet, because of everything that he taught me, I didn't grieve for him the same way that I did for my father or my mother, because I didn't have as many tools then on how to look at the idea of loss and grief, and how loss happens and grieving happens all the time in life. And so, if we looked at it in a way, I think one of the things that my teacher had said to me once when my cat had passed away, he said, "It's okay to grieve," because I was worried. The cat was very sick. He had a brain tumor, and it was evident he was going to die. And I said to him, "I just don't know what I'm going to do." And he said, so I said, "Please help me. I don't know what to do." And he said, "You know what to do. You'll know what to do when the time comes. Don't worry, you'll know." So I thought, "Oh, really?" And I was very concerned. He said to me, "Don't worry. When it happens, you will grieve, and it's natural and normal to grieve. That's okay. But just don't do it for too long, because that makes you strange. It makes you like unconnected to the world when you do it too long. So just do it in the time that you can, and do your best." And so, oh, welcome, Christine, to class also. So that was the basis of thinking of how he had helped me in the last 21 years that I'd known him. He always gave me more encouragement and always seemed to know better what my abilities were than myself, until I realized, oh, I actually have had them all along. I just didn't see them and didn't want to see them. And that made me think, now he's gone. I can't just see if I can go see him. So I have to live up. I have to step up to what he believed in me, because he believed in me so much. And now it's time to believe in myself. That's what I decided at that time. And as a result of that, everything changed. Everything changed. Things became, in some ways, harder and scarier, because I was doing all those things that I conveniently avoided if I thought, well, that's really nice of him, but maybe not yet. Maybe I'll try it like next year, or I'll ask him another question next month. And so I also wanted to touch on this for those of you who might not have a Buddhist teacher that you feel really close to, but you're very interested in Buddhism, that I went through a period of time where I felt, oh, gosh, how lucky that person is. When they come in, they're just always glowing, and, oh, my teacher says da 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 dee dee dee, and I feel so good, and I feel like I have such a, this light for me, and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, I don't have that. How am I going to get that? How will I find? And that's another kind of grieving, right? You grieve for something you haven't lost, because you want it and you don't really know why. And this is another thing that's human nature too. You tend to, we have a very natural willingness to want something we don't have if we see someone else has it and they're enjoying it. And then sometimes we have things that other people want, but we don't really think about it, that they're grieving too. And so this is part of what I wanted to introduce to you in this workshop, that when you lose someone or something, to regard the emotional expression that you have initially in a different way. Because a lot of times things that you find to be big obstacles in your life or great obstructions, they happen, and then at the time you might feel really miserable about it. And then as you go along, you realize there's a point where you think, well, boy, if I can, I know that this is going to, sometimes you don't, but you think, I know this is going to end. And now I think when I get to the other side of this, it's probably going to be one of the most memorable experiences in my life that will help build on my life and make me a better person, more understanding to others. Because if I'm having this, usually if you say it to someone else, you'll meet someone who says, oh yeah, that's happened to me too. That happened to me too. And then you regard everything in a totally different way. So that's sort of the introduction of all of this that I'd like to give to you about why I decided to do this workshop. And this workshop is a meditation workshop. So now I would like to ask you if any of you would like to give me a definition of what you think meditation is. And for those of you who have taken classes with me, you can tell me what I have said. And if you don't know or you don't remember, that's okay. But can I just have like a contribution from someone about what you think meditation is? And we'll get going that way, because I really also would like to hear from you, because I think it's important when we're studying and we're not in the midst of like in a huge group of people. We're in a very close and warm environment. If you could tell me that, I feel like then we can just feel like you're being trusted. Anything that you say is worthwhile, so don't worry. Just give a thought of what you think meditation is. Anyone? Yes, Lauren.
I'm very new to Buddhism, but I think of it as the practice of cultivating mindfulness.
Yes, very good.
I guess I think it's like being aware of what's going on in your mind and recognizing that.
Okay, that's great. That's a very advanced class. It's not just silence. Okay, so yes, it's exactly what you were saying. And I wanted to use the Tibetan word because I think there's something so beautiful about the Tibetan language and Tibetan culture that I'd like to share with you as a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner, because my teacher had said that all of the words in the sutras that the Tibetans translated, and all of their words they think about in Tibetan, have a purpose. And so there's a deeper meaning, and bringing it into English can be tricky a lot of times, because there are a lot of different aspects brought into the English language without a lot of words. So the word for Tibetan, in Tibetan for meditation, is gom, and it has a number of different meanings. It means to familiarize yourself with a new practice or a practice. It means to habituate yourself with a practice. And it also means to cultivate your practice. And what is this practice that you're doing? You're transforming your mind from its usual negative state, which we are all very familiar with. We have a very familiar sort of default state of feeling negative about things from pretty little, when you're pretty little. from maybe the first time someone scolds you, that you will think, oh gosh, I was really happy just a moment before, even if you can't um, vocalize it or say it. But this word meditation, then it's not a cliche word. It is, what you're doing is, first you're realizing that you can actually habituate yourself to a positive habit, because also in the English language, the word habituate or habit seems negative, right? You think, oh gosh, I've got this really bad habit. I always like to fold my sheets in a certain way, and it drives that person crazy. And then we get into an argument, or I turn the toilet roll, with the thing facing one way and the other person likes it the other way. It's all this kind of stuff because of how you're brought up. So I realize that people tend to think of this word habituate as like, oh God, I got a really bad habit. I don't really hear anyone say, oh, I've got a really good habit. They don't really say that. So first you familiarize yourself with, what is this that you're familiarizing yourself with? A more positive attitude about things. And then you will realize that, oh, if I had a more positive attitude about things, maybe I wouldn't have as many problems. And how do I do that? So I just realized that I jumped right into this without doing a motivation for our class, because I usually like to begin with the motivation for why we're here together. So what I'd like to do right now is just to sit for a moment quietly, and you're just going to relax and just look downwards. You can keep your eyes slightly open. And I would like you to think about how your spine is long and curved naturally. There's a dip in the lower spine. Your collarbones are open, your shoulders are open. You're looking downwards, and you imagine your face as being like that of the Buddha. If you ever see images or paintings and sculptures, his eyes are always slightly open. And there's a reason for this. He is taking in the world. And so when we do meditation, there are many kinds to do, and many times when you begin, you have your eyes closed so you can bring your concentration in. But I'd like you to just think about how, when you sit with your eyes slightly open, you see the room around you and those, whatever else, the people in your room with you, or if you have a pet, your cat sleeping on the side, and all the things around you. And you're taking this in as the environment that I'm in. And then now for the motivation. I'd just like you to think of how wonderful it is that we're all here together today on a rainy Saturday, because there's some curiosity about finding about how, maybe even through grief and loss, how to find some joy in your life. And how fortunate am I at this moment to be with other people who have the same curiosity as me. How fortunate and joyful can I be that I can be with some others who share and wanting to know how to be more happy, how to be joyful in a difficult world, how to be calmer, how to be aware of how my life is, and just take it all into account, that actually my life is very, very blessed and fortunate, because I can make the choice to come to class and look into myself. And if you can now, just try to keep this idea of joy, a little slight smile. I'd like you to all just make a little smile, because that kind of relaxes your muscles. And think for the rest of the today after this class, and even during it, that if you feel at all tense, that you can just relax and smile, because it's actually okay. I'm not alone and isolated. There are other people who want to connect like me. Okay, and so you just gently now bring your mind into noticing your breath. And I'm just going to do an opening body meditation to relax us before I talk about the next stage of our practice. So do keep your eyes open unless you feel like you're getting distracted, and you can close your eyes. And also, during this workshop, at any time you need to move, please move, because there's nothing more distracting than your body being uncomfortable. Just imagine your breath is very long and deepening. And notice if your breath is a little slower than when you first came into class. Now imagine your breath begins at your toes. You're going to inhale from your toes all the way up through the top of your head. Inhale. And exhale from the top of your head through your toes. Again, inhale through the toes, up through the top of the head. Exhale from the top of the head through the toes. And last time, inhaling through the toes, all the way up through the top of the head. And exhale through the top of the head, down through the toes. Inhale and just exhale, relaxing your toes. Inhale through your balls of your feet, and exhale, relax the balls of your feet. Inhale and exhale, relax the arches of your feet. Inhale, exhale, relax the heels. Inhale, exhale, relax the ankles. Inhale and exhale, relax the backs of your calves. Inhale and exhale, relax your shins. Inhale and exhale, relax your knees. Inhale and exhale, relax the backs of your knees where they bend. Inhale and exhale and relax the backs of your thighs, your hamstrings. And inhale and exhale, relax the front of your thighs. Inhale and exhale, relax your hips. Inhale and exhale, and notice your pelvis, that big bone where your legs meet your torso. And you're just going to move your hips a little left and right just to relax them, front and back. Just notice them there. Exhale and relaxing. Inhale and exhale. Relax the sacrum, the bone that connects to your lower back. Inhale and exhale your belly, bringing your attention to the front of your body. And inhale and exhale, relaxing bone by bone the lower lumbar spine, each of the discs of your vertebra. Just breathing. If you have a little bit of achiness anywhere, just as you exhale, see if you can release any tension. And then I'd like you to inhale and exhale, relax your ribs. Swing your ribs wide, feeling your lungs filling. Exhale, letting the air out. Going up bone by bone, rib by rib, to under your armpits. Then you're going to inhale and exhale, relax your armpits. Inhale and exhale, relax bottoms of your shoulder blades. Inhale and exhale the tops of your shoulders. Inhale and exhale, relaxing your upper arms. Inhale and exhale the backs of your upper arms, your triceps. And inhale and exhale, relaxing the front of your upper arms, the biceps. Inhale and exhale your elbows. Inhale and exhale your forearms, the insides of your forearms. Exhale, release. Inhale, exhale the tops of your forearms. Inhale and exhale, relaxing your wrists. Inhale and exhale and relax your fingers. And notice your hands resting on your palms, your knees, and the palms, how they feel over your legs. Inhale and exhale. And just notice this whole body starting to wake up. Now you're going to take an inhalation, and on the exhalation, let your chin drop down towards your collarbone so you stretch the back of your neck. And take 2 breaths here, just releasing. Notice any tension, if there's any creaking, which is kind of natural sometimes. Take a 3rd time, just inhale and exhale, relax that neck. And then now you're going to inhale, and as you exhale, lift your head up to its neutral position. And then inhale, and as you exhale, turn your head to the left. And inhale and exhale, bring your head to the center. Inhale and exhale, turn your head to the right. And bring your head to the center, exhaling. Just notice that now your head and your face. You're going to notice that there are those 2 dips at the back of your skulls, your occipitals, and you're just going to inhale and exhale there. Inhale and exhale your jawbones. Place your tongue at the back of your front teeth. You'll notice when you do that, the curl makes saliva form. And you're going to swallow that saliva, which in Qigong and Tai Chi is your Qi energy, your energy of your body. And it will go down towards wherever there is tension and release it. So swallow again. And then now inhale and exhale and relax your cheekbones, Inhale and exhale, relax your ears, even though they don't really move. Just let them relax. Inhale and exhale, relax your nostrils. You're going to inhale all the way up through the nasal cavity. Exhale all the way out. Inhale and exhale, relax your temples. And then inhale and exhale, and just see if you can relax the backs of your eyes. Inhale and exhale, relax your forehead. And then inhale and exhale that point between your brows, where the third eye is. Now bring your attention to your skull and the scalp area. You're going to breathe in through the hair follicles and exhale through the hair follicles. I'm going to do this 3 more times, just noticing that maybe when you breathe like this, your scalp will tingle. And then now just notice that maybe your entire body feels a little bit more vibrant. And you're going to once again inhale all the way from the toes, all the way through the top of your head. Exhale from the top of your head down through your toes, longitudinally, and then now laterally from your ears. Breathe from your skull, starting from your nose out to your ears, from your shoulders, from your spine, your hips, your knees, your ankles. Inhale. Laterally exhale down back into your spine. And then inhale front and back, front back of the body to the back. And then now I'd like you to breathe in the volume of your entire body. And just notice, I have a body. Sometimes I don't notice it when I think too much or get worried, but here it is. And it supports me. And be grateful to your body. It's a sign you're here. Now, slowly in your own time, you're just going to dissolve this meditation. And at the end of 3 breaths, you're going to look up. Okay, and just rest. All right, how's everyone feeling? Are you okay? Okay, so I didn't ask Sean about this, but I did want to do a little stretch with everybody. So I'd just like you to reach your right arm up to the ceiling, and then you can hold to the side of your chair or your mat and look at your hand. Just reach to the side. And then go to the other side. Inhale and exhale. And shake out your arms. Place your thumbs at the base of your skull and just massage those occipitals, that dip. And then you're just going to bring your elbows close together. And inhale, lift your head up to the ceiling, stretch your upper back, and you're supported by your hands for your neck. And as you exhale, look down and massage the head. Let your hand come down, shake your head no. Nod your head yes. Make a tiny circle of your head one way and then the other way. And then come all the way up. And then now I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to stand up. And I'm not sure if you can see this. I'm going to turn. And I'd like for everybody, maybe this isn't going to work, but you're just going to maybe I'll just describe it to everyone on the on Zoom. But you're going to stand up. I could do it this way a little bit. You're going to stand up. Everyone's going to stand up because I think you've been sitting for a while and I don't know if your feet are going to sleep if you're on the mats. So you're just going to step up and down a little bit. And then what I'd like you to do is you're just going to shake your hands out. And I'm just going to do a little Qigong exercise with you. So you're going to stand about hips width apart. The backs of your knees are a little bit relaxed and just check that your spine is long and straight. So you're going to, just for a moment, pull your tummy in a little bit, lift your ribs and bring your weight a little bit forward. That's right. Because sometimes we tend to stand like this or like that, and you don't get the air out of your body. So you're just going to inhale and exhale, lengthening, feeling like your feet are like the roots of a tree going down into the ground. And then place your hand on your belly. You're going to do a reverse breathing exercise. When you inhale, your stomach's going to go out. When you exhale, pull the belly in. And it's all through your nose, you're breathing. Inhale. You might feel your spine lengthening as you exhale. And last time, inhale and exhale. Good. Drop, shake your hands out. Then you're just going to inhale, reach your hands up to the ceiling, touch your palms. Exhale, reach your arms down to the sides. Yes, and then good. And yawn if you need. Inhale. This time you're going to exhale and turn your hands out and press them away from you so that your wrists are pressing like they're pressing a wall. And you can feel a lot of energy going out of your arms this way. And just relax your shoulders a little. Good, good. And then just press and lengthen. Take 2 breaths here. And then you're just going to let your arms drop, shake them out. Just do a little stepping like this. And then you're going to place your knees together. This is, I'm sorry that you can't see it, but you're going to place your knees together. Your hands are going to hold the knees together. Place the feet together. And as you exhale, you're going to bend the knees and inhale, straighten, right. And then you're going to do that 3 times. 2, inhale, exhale. Last time. 3, hold it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then come all the way up. Shake your legs out. And then now you can sit down again. I usually like.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you for showing us the picture on the screen. Thank you.
Okay. Sometimes I find it a little difficult to do a long workshop because everyone's sitting so long. And I also have noticed when I go to a lot of teachings and have watched over the years some of my friends, because they don't exercise, and I've kind of been, because I was a sickly kid and became an exercise fanatic. I think it's really important when we're practicing meditation to remember to take care of our bodies. It's not just your mind. Your mind is so important, and your mind will help, is like the most critical thing, actually. But we can get so distracted if we get sick. And we have all of these other problems as a result of it. So that's why I like to do this little stretch thing. And now we're going to go back to what I started to talk about, which is meditation, what meditation means, and how this can help us when we're grieving and when we are experiencing loss. Because I think one of the things you notice when you've lost someone very, very close to you is that the moment you find out they're not going to ever be around again with you in this life, something sinks deeper in you. You feel, I remember feeling when my dad died that my friends seemed to break into two groups. It was the ones who didn't know what to say to me, so they pretended nothing happened. And then there were those few people who said, "Oh, I heard, are you okay?" And that was so, so comforting. And I thought, I have to remember that when that happens to someone I know, that how much I really wanted to talk about my dad. I really wanted to share what he meant to me. And because I felt like they didn't know about him in my world, and so my world had changed and he was no longer there. And the ones who just kept going, are you going to the game, you're going to the movie, and I couldn't even really answer them because there was this sense of loss. That sense of loss, I realize, is a great chance to open and look deeper into yourself, because we're raised in an environment that is very superficial. We're in a culture that is constantly telling you you're not good enough. You need to buy this new thing and you'll feel a lot better and you'll be maybe good enough for until the next one comes out. I remember my friend who got the first iPhone, and before long she was like, "Oh my God, there's an iPhone 4 and I just can't keep up with it." All of this kind of stuff. Or when you see like a cosmetics ad, "Oh, look at how smooth your skin could be if you just did da. Or oh, so and so, this movie star just wore boat shoes to the Academy Awards, and that's like opened a whole new world of dressing. I want to dress like that. I want to be really cool." And all of these kinds of things that take you out of yourself, right? Or a lot of times just feeling like you're not good enough because you see people, you're in a group of people and you can see them. Oh, famous, not famous, not famous. Oh, famous, gotta go. No, or popular, not popular, not popular. It's this kind of thing that really can bring you down and make you feel like it's not, what can I do? What can I do to be better? Well, one of the things that is so amazing about all of that is when you've lost someone, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what these people are judging, because you think, there's something else in life that's deeper. There's something else in life that I think is more valuable. And that is, I think, that's a way of looking at loss differently. It's not just that they're gone and, oh my God, it's over. No, it's taking the time to really appreciate your life, and that, oh, but I'm still alive. And this person probably would have liked it if I did this. I remember my mom, before she died in 2009, she was 89, and she was always a very tough traditional Chinese mom. You gotta do this, very ethical, very strict. And the day before she died, she had this massive heart attack. She was in the emergency room. We were driving to her in the hospital, but I was visiting my husband's mother, and my sister called and said she's in emergency. They want to put a tube down her to intubate her so she can last until you get here. Is that okay? And I said, no, don't do that, because it's going to be so uncomfortable for her. If she's going to be alive, she will be alive. And if she's not, I don't want her to be uncomfortable. So we got there, and just as we're pulling into the parking lot, also we didn't know where the hospital was. I didn't want to worry about being lost. Just before we got there, my brother called and said, oh, she came out of emergency and she's in a room. So just come up to the room. And we got up to the room, and my mother sat up and said to me, I just wanted to let you know, I've always loved you very much. I always have, I just never said it. So I want you to know that now. And that was so amazing to me. And then there were 3 of us taking turns, my brother, sister, and I taking turns being with her. But she decided to die when my husband and I were with her. It was so, so beautiful and so profound, because I really felt like she trusted us. And so it made me realize, don't be afraid of death. Don't be afraid of people passing away and not wanting to see them, because that's the way life is. We're all headed there. Just try to be a little bit more empathetic with yourself, that it's not scary. It's not scary. It's very, very beautiful, because then you get to see the whole cycle. And I feel like that my teacher taught me that, because Buddhist practice is all about preparing for your death and preparing for your next life, preparing for being being a good person. So the other thing that I would like to do now is we're going to do a mind meditation, a single pointed, calm, abiding meditation, so that when your mind is feeling filled up with either emotion or junk, just everyday junk, that we have a method to breathe through it and just relax. So you're just going to sit. This time you're going to have your hand in dhyana meditation pose, left hand into the right, the thumbs touching, and you're going to place this in your lap. And in Tibetan Buddhism, this symbolizes the union of your compassion and your wisdom. It also is opening your heart. In the Zen tradition, it's opening yourself to the universe. So you're just going to sit like this and feel open, just breathing. And now you're going to do this practice called shamatha in Sanskrit, calm abiding. In Tibetan, it is shine, and it can mean abiding in peace, or it also means focusing on a single point, because you're trying to calm abiding is another definition. You're calming all of that junk that tends to want to stir up in you. And you can do it first by just concentrating on your breath and noticing, oh, that I don't have to pay any money for my breath. It's always there. I don't have to buy any fancy couch to sit on or fancy cushion. I can meditate anywhere, in fact, if I count my breath. And so you're just going to inhale and exhale, very aware of your breath. Inhale through your nostrils and exhale. And now I'd like you to just observe how within your inhalation and exhalation, there's a moment when you stop breathing. So you inhale And before you exhale, there's a little gap, and then you exhale. And there's a little gap. And inhale again. Gap. Exhale. One more time, inhaling. Gap. Exhale. Gap. And I'd like you to count your breath to 5. I will guide you on this for the first round. Inhale. Exhale 1. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 5. Just count for yourself from 1 to 5. If you get distracted, just go back to 1. But don't get hard on yourself if you get distracted. And begin. And dissolve that meditation and rest for a moment. This time I'd like you to try to count to 10 on your own. If you're having distractions, don't worry about it. Just say, I'm going to let that distraction go, let that thought go, and then begin again. And start, inhale. Exhale. Now just dissolve your meditation and relax a moment. Come back into the room. You can shake your arms out, your hands. How's everyone doing? Do you have any questions or anything you want to share that you got from the shamatha? You don't have to if you know what. Yes? Oh, good, good. Lauren said it was very relaxing. Yay. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Sunny, did you have some?
Thank you. Thank you for,
Okay. So now I'd like to move on because people have had experience meditating here. So now I'd like to refer to the last word in this. The name of this workshop is the word bodhicitta. I'm just going to throw out, does anyone have a definition that they know that they want to give me about bodhicitta? Just have a place to start. Is it familiar, not familiar? Yes.
Is there
Yes, it's an element. Lauren said, is it a person who is pursuing the path to enlightenment? That is a person who is a bodhisattva, and it's basically right. But there's a quality of a practice that a bodhisattva, and the translation is very helpful for this. A bodhisattva is translated from the Sanskrit and the Tibetan as the word sattva means mind, and bodhi means awakened, fully awakened or enlightened in Sanskrit. So it's a person. Also, sorry, I'm wrong with that. Bodhisattva. Sattva is a hero. A bodhisattva is a heroic person who is pursuing enlightenment. The word bodhicitta is the mind that is pursuing full awakening or enlightenment. Now, so bodhisattva is the person who's doing this, and because it is a very challenging path, they're considered heroes. Sometimes people say warrior, others protest that sounds a little warlike and you're trying to be enlightened, like maybe it's not so good. And then the other word, bodhicitta, which is linked to that, the word citta is the word for mind. And bodhi, now is the word for enlightenment or full awakening. So that's the practice. That's what you're doing with your mind in order to become a bodhisattva. So you're exactly right with that. Now, the Tibetans have this added element that I think is really beautiful, is that the word for enlightenment is jangchup, and it's in two parts. And jang is to purify, and then chup is to accumulate and to achieve this purification. So it means that you're purifying yourself of your negative attributes and negative behaviors so that you can achieve and attain enlightenment through this practice. So it actually gives you an idea of the work you have to do. It's not a bad thing, but then it doesn't become abstract when you know what the meaning of that word is. It becomes much more powerful. It did to me anyway. And I remember I've talked to a number of different translators about this word bodhi, because there's a whole group who think the word awakening is really, really good, because, when the Buddha's disciples first saw him after he attained enlightenment, they said, what happened? What happened to you? You look different. And he said, I'm awake. And it's the same word that he had, bodhi. But I think what is really nice about the Tibetan translation is that, as one of the teachers that I've studied with said, if you use the word enlightenment, a little difficult to figure out what it means. So you know that there's work to do for it. If you say, I'm awake or awakening, well, you can wake up and feel really great in the morning sometimes, and then just be nasty later on. So it's not that kind of awakening. And my teacher often said fully awakened when he wanted to use. He tended to use very, very simple words and not very academic words. He said, you could try that. You could use that too. But the main thing is to let you know that it's very challenging and it's a great endeavor to undertake because it's very, very gratifying. And I remember when my mother was sick before she died, I went to visit her, and my teacher, again, I said to him, I don't know what to do. And he said, you know what to do. Just be the good Buddhist you are in your heart. And don't tell anyone anything. You will be surprised. And so I did that. And the first thing I noticed when you take that kind of attitude that's completely different was my mom. Well, I always entered through the back door in the suburban house. You go, hi, I'm home. And my mom comes through the back door, opens it, and she goes, oh, I'm so glad you're here. I made pumpkin pie for you because I know you're not going to be here for Thanksgiving. And here's a little plate of mini donuts with cream cheese because you're from New York. And I couldn't believe how thoughtful she was. And I knew that what changed for me was, if it had been 2 years ago when I was feeling like I was having trouble getting along with my mother, I would have thought, oh, she's trying to make me feel guilty for not being home during Thanksgiving because I have to be in New York. It's like this really negative attitude. Instead of seeing that my mom was so happy to see me, that she did all of this. And the look on her face when she saw how happy I was just so beautiful, because she tended to be easily depressed. So that started out the trip. And she didn't feel well. She'd fallen down. She could hardly move. And so I just tried to did my best and helped her with things. And then one day, a few days later, she said, something, you're really nice now. You didn't used to be like this. and then she said, I think that Buddhism thing's really good for you. And I kind of like that they say, you should love your mother. And so she was really happy. She said, I want you to teach me something from Buddhism. So I called my teacher and they gave me this practice to do the blessing of Tara, white Tara, for her long life. And because she's the only female Buddha, it might make her happy to hear this. And we did this mantra chanting together. And she says, I know this mantra. This mantra I know from World War II, when I hid in your dad's wardrobe with the rest of the family. And he was keeping the Japanese troops out from coming up to finding the women and the grandparents. We were up, and your grandfather was saying this mantra, but with a Chinese accent. And so she said it was slightly different sounding. And she said, I think it's the same thing, right? And I said, yes, it is. And afterwards, when I went and I told my teacher what happened, he was like, isn't that nice? But it's that kind of thing that where you learn from bodhicitta, because it is the mind, or sometimes you can call it the spirit, that strives to be fully awakened, to be enlightened. What a good practice is that to do? And how can we apply this idea of bodhicitta to our daily lives, especially when we're having a hard time, when we're experiencing loss, or even we can feel grief when someone criticizes us, when we think that they really liked us. And maybe they're just having a bad day, but we take it really, really personally, right? We tend to. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe that person said it to me. How could they say that to me? And then you can't even look at them the same way. And then they might be blithely going off. And then later on they say, oh, my cat died or whatever, and then you think, oh my God, I said all these nasty, or had all these nasty thoughts. But the person was having exactly the same kind of hard time I was. That's another reason to practice bodhicitta. So one way that I think one of the ways where this practice is difficult is because it requires you to not only concentrate on your own troubles. So one of the ways that I like to try to start practicing it is by doing this what's called Tonglen practice. Maybe you've heard it about giving and taking. You're going to take in, giving your loving kindness or your compassion and taking in their suffering. So that's what we're going to do now, just to have a taste of what it feels like to exchange your energy for someone else's, getting into their shoes to see how they feel. And that will probably help you understand more than on just a word definition level of what bodhicitta means. So once again, you're going to take your dhyana meditation pose, left hand into the right, the thumbs are touching. You can close your eyes this time. Find your center again. And first, today I'll do this a little bit differently. First, you're going to imagine you're breathing in all this brilliant, warm light that is filled with loving kindness, which brings about happiness, and exhaling that into yourself. Because sometimes we forget to give ourselves loving kindness. Loving kindness light goes into you. And then you're going to breathe in the brilliant light of compassion, which is the wish to remove others' suffering, and including your own. So whatever troubles you may have had lately, or even just before or during this session, you're going to imagine that as like a black smoke in your heart. You're going to breathe it in and exhale this brilliant golden light of loving kindness and compassion into yourself. Take a few breaths of this. And then now I'd like you to imagine in front of you, about 6 feet away. We should have good practice with this from socially distancing. Someone you may have lost recently or really grieved when they passed away, sitting in front of you. And instead of feeling really sad they're gone, I'd like you just to breathe in whatever troubles they may have had. Right now they're before you, alive, and you're going to inhale their problems and exhale loving kindness to them. Inhale their suffering. Exhale loving kindness. And you're just going to, any kind of smoky darkness you might sense, you're just going to dissolve it into that loving kindness light. And if it gets a little overwhelming, just relax. And then breathe in that beautiful light for yourself. Relaxing. Give yourself a little smile for trying. And check to see if your mind feels more relaxed. And if you're feeling a moment of relaxation where there seems to be a lot of space around you, just see if you can remember that for any time you might need it after this to recall. And then I'd like you to smile. And then just dissolve this meditation into light. And if you like, you can let it dissolve into your heart. And then just take 3 breaths, come back into the room and open your eyes. Okay, how are you doing? Is there anything that you want to share that happened or something different from how you've done your meditation before? Anything? Yes, Dave. It was hard. Yeah, Dave said he did get overwhelmed during the meditation and kind of shaky, and it was hard to come back. And that is really natural, and I think it's really incredible that you could do that and feel safe about it here, trying it, because it is actually a really profound practice. And usually I think usually we don't really want to deal with our emotions very much. I mean, we're more familiar with our anger because it just, comes out. So that's something that we're more familiar with, but grief, it's hard. And I also wanted to address that, sometimes for people who've lost their teachers, they feel like they have to say that they feel they're really happy anyway because they had so much help from them, and that they know how to let go, and they feel like, they almost felt joyful because they felt like now their teacher's part of them. They've had these visions of them, and I did have that with my teacher too. But I felt that I'm the kind of person who experiences grief with loss. And I'm not at that place where I can just go, oh my gosh, I feel blissful. He's in me now. Because, maybe when my teacher came to visit me, the day that I heard about it, we were in Vietnam hiking deep in a cave, and we came out, and then internet comes back, bink, little text, just to let you know that your Killer Rinpoche has passed away. And it was devastating and kind of unreal, because here we were in like the bowels of the earth. It was so beautiful. We had little headlamps. We saw these stalactites, stalagmites, and because Vietnam had just opened again, there were no tourists except us, so you could whisper and hear it. And it was felt so magical, and all of a sudden he's gone. You know, he's gone. He had died that morning. He passed away. And I couldn't feel happy. I didn't feel any bliss. I just felt this complete loss. And then while we were sitting in the car going back, I felt that he had put his arm around me, and we had linked arms. He was sitting next to me in the car. And then we went to get iced coffee. My husband and I sat down, we had iced coffee. My husband asked me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, he's sitting next to me right now." I know my husband's used to me talking about these kind of things. And he's a Buddhist, but he doesn't really have those kind of experiences. Every once in a while he does. But my teacher was there, and he was there every day in like a sort of a different situation. One morning I woke up and he was very tiny, sitting on my heart, smiling. And then I heard that there was going to be a cremation service. So I thought, oh my gosh, you know, that's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be like the last day. And then I had this dream and vision of him where he was wearing all white and gold, and he just waved, was smiling. And then I felt this kind of relief, you know, it was very, very nice. But I also felt like I can't necessarily tell any of this to my classmates. You know, who knows people can be whatever, competitive or whatever, and they or feel annoyed that you had these experiences, whatever. So I was just very quiet about everything. And actually, I took to heart his saying that you do everything anonymously and you will be surprised. Because actually, I didn't need to tell anyone all of this happened. It made me feel better. And yet I still had the grief of missing him. And I think that that's okay. It's okay, because it was that gave me the turning point to know, well, it's up to me now. I can't just go and, oh, could I, you know, could I meet with Rinpoche? You know, does he have time? You know, and people get so used to that, of saying, oh, and then they'll say, oh yeah, you know, he can see you at 3:00 or whatever, you know, come over for tea. But trying to be resilient for yourself, it takes a leap. It takes a leap when you've realized you become dependent on someone else to make you happy. And it's really up to you to have compassion, to have this willingness to try to make someone else happy, to give them love. Because who's with you 24 hours a day knows all your secrets? Yourself, right? So that's pretty much what I concluded. And with this last teaching, with the visiting teacher, Serkong Rinpoche, I had realized before I even came to his class that, yeah, I want to attain enlightenment, because there's not much life left. Every day gets shorter. If I keep putting it off and thinking I'll do it next week, then all of that time of trying to understand what's going on is wasted. Of course, you know, saying all that, Friday we had the day off. We, you know, went to the museum. I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna just relax. And I had this whole list of things I wanted to do, and I ended up taking a long nap. Because you also have to be reasonable with yourself. Don't be an extremist. But we have like 15 minutes left, and I'd just like to hear from you if there's anything that you'd like to share, any questions you have about practice, about loss, or anything, or anything that you might want to talk about. I don't have answers necessarily, but it's something that we could all talk about and see if afterwards something helps. So is there anything else you'd like to ask or share? And online as well, on Zoom. You don't have to be silent, although it's very easy to be.
It's not really a question. It's more just to share.
Yes, yes.
I'm going through it right now. So you lost a loss by choice. A loss
Yes.
that's not as like concrete where you feel
Yes.
and I found the trauma very helpful in that way because like you still have this exchange.
Yes.
Sort of exchange energy that serves you.
Yes. Yeah, that's really wonderful. Lauren has been is going through a breakup right now. So the Tonglen was very useful for her to share. And I think Tonglen is so amazing in that way for the very reason that the other person doesn't know you're doing it. And so a lot of times though, I've noticed, because my husband and I do get into conflict a lot of times. We get along very well. Basically, we get along very well all the time. But every once in a while, it's just that old habitual that sets you off, and you're like, and then even though you're familiar with it, this is when I really see my own ego and self-grasping. If he says, it just kind of really bugs me that you do da da da, right? Or, why did you da da da? And then he says, but I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd explode. Boom, you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to hold it for like 5 seconds. No, I can't do it. But now I think one of the best things about Tonglen is he has those times too, where he just wants to explode, and he does. And because we've had this pattern, if I do Tonglen because I realize he's having a hard time, it changes things. It just changes the atmosphere, changes the dynamic, because then I remember, oh yeah, we're both having a really hard time. And breakups, fights, they all have that quality of just not really knowing how to communicate in a way that you feel it'll be all right when it's happening, because it's so painful, and you're going through it because you need to. So I think it's well, thanks first of all for sharing that, because it's really a hard period when you have that kind of situation. I don't really know what to say as far as relationships go, but that in fact they always do this. And then when something ends, you know that this pattern for now is coming to an end. For me, I think one of the things I would be very careful about because my husband and I did spend some time apart, and I realized I didn't want to repeat a pattern with someone new, to try and identify what is it in myself that triggers me to be a certain way, and so that I could learn something about myself. Because I remember something that I'm a writer as well, and one of my writing teachers said, oh, my wife and I divorced after 10 years. And then about 5 months into it, I realized I was in that relationship too. It was always, everything was always about what she wasn't doing, what she wasn't understanding about him. And then he said, and then we were able to become friends, you know, because it was that kind of realization instead of just, because it becomes very black and white. It's very hard. So take it easy with yourself, and wish you good, send you good wishes about all that. Yeah, it's really hard, but thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone else? Oh yes, Carol, please unmute yourself. I think you're still muted. Can you undo your mic? There you go.
Yeah. How about in relationship to yourself? I'm going through depression right now, and I don't know why in particular now. You know, is it the trauma from the past, or what is it? I don't know, but I don't know what to do. Is there something I can do in terms of a particular meditation?
I actually don't know, because depression is very tricky. I feel like I'm not, you know, a psychotherapist or anything, but I can tell you a story. Once during the pandemic, I was working on a translation of the Medicine Buddha, the Healing Buddha, with one of these lamas that I've known for a long time. He taught me beginning Tibetan, and we would always talk almost every day at that point. And one day he said, "So how are you?" And I said, "I'm actually, today I'm depressed." And he said, "Is it luxury depression, or is it like something really critical happening to you? Is it the kind of," and I thought of that, and he said, "Is it because you're at some kind of status quo that you're not happy about? Because maybe you just have to relax a little bit." And it was really interesting. He said that because he said, you know, when you're inside a lot, I don't know if you're inside a lot, Carol, but if you're inside a lot and you're isolated a lot and you're not talking to people very much except whoever's at home, like my husband, 3 cats, you know, that kind of thing, and you don't have much outside contact, sometimes you can feel like it's very, like your mood is not uplifted.
Mm.
And I think when I usually feel like I might be getting down, I don't, you know, my mother was clinically depressed, so I don't really know how, she didn't know how to manage that. But one of the things for myself is that I tend to like to go out for a walk and just notice nature, because it's pretty amazing. Even in New York City, you can see so many beautiful things.
Mm.
And also, I noticed that when I go out for a walk, it's very similar to what this great Buddhist philosopher Shantideva, which the center is named after, which actually his name means peaceful deity. Shanti is peace and deity. So he said, sometimes when you're getting narrow, move a little, because it makes you have a new perspective. And I remember my own teacher one time, Chunglen Rinpoche, he said, "Oh, I get mad just like everyone else. You know, I do that too." He said, "I moved to New Jersey. I thought, fresh start. Everything's going to be totally different from my little 1-room apartment and on East 36th Street. And I get in a line at a grocery store, and this woman cuts in front of me, and I go, oh," and he said, "Oh, same problem as before." You know, he said that's we have like so many habitual things. But I think when his main disciple, who later is the first American monk who became an abbot of a Tibetan Buddhist monastery, every once in a while, Khenpo Nikki would say to him, Rinpoche, just move a little, move your head. And then they'd both burst out laughing because he'd gotten a little cranky, and he'd do, but actually that works. So, I mean, on a very minimal scale, you might try, if you're feeling like your mood is down. Sometimes I listen to classical music. It just helps to have something different to do, or read something. I find for myself, the arts really help. Just seeing people being creative, because I think that's one quality that we have as human beings, that many animals do not have that benefit to be able to make something. Although I've heard crows can make things, but elephants are really smart and incredibly compassionate. But I think maybe moving and seeing if it feels a little better, or look out your window and see if you see something different. Like, it's rainy today. How's the rain, affecting things?
Mm.
And see if that helps a little.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so and there's a little notice in the meeting chat if you'd like to join Shantideva to become a member. There's information there. And I think it's really wonderful. Thank you so much for coming today. I was a little concerned about rain and sitting here by myself, but of course I was reassured that Zoom would be there. So thank you so much for coming today. And I would like to now do a dedication for the end of class. So I was going to do a different one, but I actually think this one is good. And it's a prayer that usually comes in the beginning of class to put us in the mood for it. But lately I've found that sometimes it helps at the end of class, because there's so much trouble in the world, so much suffering. So it's the four immeasurables. Sem chin tam che dewa dang dewe gyu dang den bar gyur jik du ngao dang gi gyu dang drawar gyur jik du ngao me pe dewa dang mi drawar gyur jik nye ring cha dang ni dang dang ne tang yon chen bala ne bar gyur jik. May all living beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be parted from the great, may they never be parted from the great happiness without suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from the partiality of attachment and aversion. Chisi namka nebadang, dowo chisi negyopa, desi dani negyune, dowe dungel sewar shuk. For as long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, so may we too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you very much for coming today. I really appreciate being able to be with you. It's been a really special afternoon.
Thank you, Annie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.